Hello there, I'm Sconculus, and this is TEPPEN Deck Tech, where things have changed. Day of Nightmare was shadow dropped back into the new limited rank format with massive buffs to already strong cards, making this possibly the highest power standard format ever in TEPPEN. Our goal is to proudly take part in the degeneracy, playing as many instant win combos as Red-Green Explorer has access to. And considering Explorer is the most buffed archetype for both our colors, we've got a lot of them. Starting off, we are playing Dirty. Our starter and finisher is Sparta, a 2/9 demon heavy piercer with an infinite ceiling. The sword he comes with will buff him way over curve. Then if Sparta can perform Bushin Ryu Awakening, you'll start to see where Dante gets his combo fever. One or two of these into State of Nothingness, and we have inevitability from the very first card. Our other best Bushin Ryu targets are Male, Alia, and General. Male is our fastest turn one. If you can go Sparta into Male at round start, Male's MP boost will just give you the 1 MP needed to Demon Sword right before Sparta's first attack. Then, if your opponent responds, always activate Battle Chip Guard, just cause it's always better to turn it into a shield. Next, promoting high power, back and forth gameplay, as well as sacrificing herself for the good of machine kind, we have Alia. I don't remember her doing that in the X series, or having anything to do with ride armor, but the card is fun as heck, and Chimera ride armor is so OP that you can turn almost any play into a game-winning one with Alia. She's also a great blocker, and the delay on her Explorer gives her an extra layer of strategy. It does, of course, introduce the risk of seals or bounces, but that's why we got the triple Bushin Ryu. And our strongest Explorer, newly upgraded with a body to rival in S-Class Hunter, we have General, Reploid Leader. If General can achieve victory a single time and explore for Repliforce just once, activating it will immediately end all conflict through superior firepower. Our last explorers are Nami, who is always tempo, along with an explorer that kills anything, basically, and little sprite Sakuya, who if ascended over Alia is so flashy. There's a bit going on with Sakuya, but the unreactable 10 plus damage on her second when exploring effect is the one effect that really matters. And finally we have the payoffs. For Greenry 1/2 Donalbane, this is a variable MP 4/6 that is guaranteed value thanks to its rush attacking effect. It's a huge reward for good mulligans and aggro, but does introduce the potential to brick. Still, it's such a good punish, or to close games out, that I cannot bring myself to cut all of them. However, I did cut one for I'll Keep You Safe, and that is a comeback mechanic worth having. Next, Sherry Birkin. Until days ago, she was 6 MP and worth it, which makes her now the most overstated 3-drop in 4 years of TEPPEN. Even as a 2/6, she's good, and as a 3/8, she's on par and better than legendaries, but her potential is so much higher that you should always try to save her for that game-winning board buff play. And our red payoffs start with the infamous Infinity Mijinion, just as likely to one-shot anything in the game as his boss fight was to annoy. This is all the removal you need. Mijinion one-shots a true Orochi and banishes it. For 3 MP, it's kinda unreal. The Flea's decent body as well, especially as a 5/5 with antibody, makes this our ultimate tool to swing momentum. And once you have momentum, there is no better vehicle for that and antibody itself than Teostra Infernal King, the embodiment of scorched earth and able to explore for Red's flashiest board wipe. Supernova is sick, but it's not easy to use at all, especially in 2-color. Regardless, Toaster at 4 MP is way over curve for agility, and that makes him ideal for all of our combos. And finally, our most lethal, untargetable combo, our very hero herself, Jill, Seeker of Truth. Veil and combo with all the buffs we run is unfair, plain and simple, and there has been no better card in TEPPEN to equip your entire arsenal of weapons onto than Jill. Here's the deck QR for you, and with all that said, let's get into it. Game 1, it's the battle of the Bazongas. Big numbers. I don't know what I said there, but we're playing the two decks that make really big numbers. Our opponent's on Devil Breaker Explore, the other DON deck. We'll start things off with Sparta into Nami, which gives us great tempo and pressure, but our opponent is able to get an Aelia Explore into two males, which gives them a ton of MP boost of their own. We'll go for a Thunderbrew to protect our Sparta, and our opponent will go for their Battle Chip Guard. We will go for our Bushin Ryu Reawakening, which is the only reason we really used our Thunderbrew, was just to free up our EX pocket. Our opponent will go for their Aelia to try and contest our Sparta, but thanks to their minus damage effect from the Daemon Sword, they're able to survive. We play down our Sherry Birkin, go for our antibody activation, and we will activate the Repliforce we explored with Bushin Ryu Awakening. Our opponent denied any more by playing down their Sherry into their hero art, but the one is all we need to basically seal out this game. Our opponent will go for their Amaterasu action, which will explore for the one thing that could keep them in this, especially with the Crush spillover. They are able to break the shield and kill one of our units, but with that shield, reducing so much of that damage is pretty much going to clinch this game. And we could really seal it out with our State of Nothingness if it wasn't day one and we weren't so green with the red-green cards, but in your matches, you guys will know to go for State of Nothingness about at this point in the match, where there would be no ability to respond to it. It would be a lot flashier than this, but our opponent can try to stop us, but we have so much inevitability that no amount of misplays on my end will stop us from getting a sick Game 1. Game 2, we're up against Lock, and it's payback time. We drew the other big flashy combo that I really wanted to show off in the video, and there can be no better punching bag than the previous top deck. We'll start off with Sparta into Jill to get the one unreactable setup for our Veil on Jill, and given that there's no real good way to interact with Veil in purple, our opponent will bounce our Sparta back to our hand and go for what they probably thought was an unblockable Dante, but they didn't quite have the MP or at least the timing for it. And we are just able to play down our Sparta into two more Explores, getting our Jill set up and getting in an 18 combo attack on our opponent. They're able to get one more block on our Jill. We are able to use our Infinity Mijinion, go for Sherry Birkin. Our opponent is able to use an Ada Wong at 8 MP. Is really sad, but that's the last of their MP and tempo. The new Lock can't do anything against us. Game 3. There's no hero I hate more to fight, but if we're gonna prove the power of a red hero, beating the top meta green hero is the way to do it. For the third time, we'll start off with our best combo card, Sparta. I mean, if you can mulligan for Sparta, you should always do it. There's other good starts like double MP boosters, but regardless, we got our best one, and we'll go for Male. Our opponent goes for their general, which could immediately be a big problem, but thankfully we can stop the Decimate. You gotta pay attention to the heals here. They're not quite gonna hit it, but we'll go for the shield just to be safe. Regardless, they wouldn't have hit it, but you really should just be safe and still count the health anyway. There, we could have gone for Thunderbrew, but we'll go for our Infinity Mijinion just to be as safe as possible and get on more extra pressure. Our opponent will play down two Aloes, and we will go for our State of Nothingness in the top lane, which will guarantee we get through their Hebo and are able to just stop them from getting any counters to our Sparta in the top lane, which you can see the massive difference that State of Nothingness in just a little bit of time on this deck makes. And our opponent gets a huge board, but they can't stop us. We get the exact lethal for Game 3. Here we are again, and it's the combo player's dream deck, honestly. It's super straightforward, pretty linear with some simple punish bait type opportunities. You don't really have to pay attention to the opponent at all, honestly, actually, when you get your combos set up. Just high roll until the number hits 0 and receive dopamine. I shouldn't hype it up too much. As much of a blast as the deck is, it does have the glaring flaw that these type of decks have, which is it is impossible to win against black. And I don't mean that as an understatement. Except Ouroboros, actually. We can beat them pretty bad since they're so slow. But if we're not up against black, and purple can't find enough of the right removal, and green doesn't find the one it'll be okay, then this deck pretty much always wins. There are like those exact 3 lose scenarios, but other than that, this deck is gonna win. It's so much fun. So if you have ever been a red-green Explorer player, I highly recommend trying out this season of the deck. I've also got a budget version here for you, of course, which is kinda like a fighting spirit turbo. These are kinda hard to make sometimes. I really recommend the Infinity Mijinion as your first upgrade, and I'm kinda fudging the idea of budget. I'm considering anything in DON budget, really, but, you know, it's kinda budget. As for the next episode, I'm hoping to have a charge shot quick take up within the next week. But past that, let me know down below whether you guys would rather see some change form Nergigante that's gonna stay really relevant for standard going forward, or some Dante shenanigans that are gonna be really irrelevant as soon as DON and TF leave. And thank you guys for watching. Please like the video if you like the video, subscribe if you subscribed. Once again, I'm Sconchulous, and I'll see you in the next one.